Welcome to Real Estate 360, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike Ambrosio, will provide you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate, and much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with Real Estate 360 Radio. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are talking everything and anything real estate, providing you great information and education. We have a great show for you in store today. I'm really excited. I brought up this guest a couple weeks ago, and I already got calls on him, so he's got a lot to live up to. But I'll introduce him in just a couple minutes. If you're just a reminder for those just tuning in, there's a couple ways you can listen to the show. That is on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM. You can also listen to us live online at kdow.biz. And KDOW also has an app, so log into your app store and download it today. I use it all the time. It's a really great app, super easy to use, and that's good because it's easier to listen to us. Well, we come to you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. I'm on Mondays, and we are a live show, so we love to hear your questions and your phone calls. If you'd like to chime in, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220, and we love to hear suggestions on future topics, guests, and any content that you desire. And finally, if you missed any shows or want to sign up for updates, visit our website at RE360radio.com. All right, so let's get into it. Today, I have Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. How you doing, Tim?
Real good, Mike. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for coming on the show. And all right, we got a great discussion for you today. We're going to be talking about termites, pest control, all that good stuff. And first, I wanted to allow Tim to kind of give us some of your background and TAPS as a company and all that good stuff.
Well, TAPS has been in business since 1969. I myself have been doing it a little over 40 years. I'm licensed as a Branch 2 and Branch 3, which Branch 2 is general pests like mice and stuff like that. Right. Branch 3 is structural pests, termites, dry rot, stuff like that. All
right, so 40 years. That's not a lot. That's a long time, not a short time, but that's good. And I used him for all my deals, and he has great company, and he's a great inspector. All of the guys that work with you are great. So
thank you.
How about those Niners, huh? Maybe we shouldn't get into that, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's get into why having a structural pest inspection is important, and what are some of the most common reasons to have a structural pest inspection?
Well, obviously, one of the most important things is if you own a property here in this part of California, obviously they're very expensive, so you want to protect your investment. So termites cause a lot of damage, more damage than a fire does. So you want to have it inspected. Every year is the best. Every 2 years is okay. So.
Right, and I think that's a great point because especially since whatever the price is, and you can get into some pricing later, but let's just say it's a couple $100, to get a structural pest inspection. And if you think about it, with the average price of a single-family residence in Santa Clara County, $750,000, I think that's a well-worthy investment to get that done. Whether it's your pest inspection, your home, your roof, but termite, I think, is one of the more important ones because of how much damage they can really cause, right?
Well, that's the thing is, you've got to take care of the whole house. It's just like, eating healthy and everything else. It's the same difference.
Right.
If you want to live a long life, you eat healthy, you don't. Same thing with your house. If you don't take care of it, when you sell it, it's going to cost you a lot of money to get it back up to, sellable.
Right. So what kind of inspections, are we talking about that? What do they determine? What is the outcome typically, or what are some things that you look for in general?
Well, when we come out and do an inspection, the first thing we do is obviously go to the front door, introduce ourselves. First thing you do is go around generally, and this is our company, and most companies do it. Some are a little different, so don't take that as gospel if somebody does a little different.
Yeah.
But most of us start on the outside of the house first, draw a diagram. Then we go on the inside of the property, check that, run the water, things like that. Then we go into the attic and look up there if we can. Then the last thing we do is go underneath the house. Then we compile a report of everything we found outside, inside, and all those kind of things. And then we send it to the interested parties, whether it be a real estate sale or a homeowner sale, or for a homeowner. And then later down the road, if people have questions, things like that, they obviously call our office and we can discuss the report with them. So
right. Now it's kind of interesting. I know a lot of times when you guys go in and you do your inspection, you run the water, and some people are kind of surprised by that because they're, some people don't know ahead of time, like you guys just don't check for termites. It's for other things too. So maybe you can explain a little bit on why you guys run the water and other types of things you're looking out for besides termites. That's
actually a good question. One of the reasons we run water is obviously we're looking for plumbing leaks for one. Two, a plumbing leak can lead to either fungus, which is wood destroying pest, or dry rot, which is basically a continuation of the fungus where it attacks the wood and it gets all crumbly. But termites can also help and attack that wood too. So you have almost a double-edged sword at that point. So plumbing leaks are really important to fix. And in certain situations, I know everybody's heard about mold and things like that, but it could possibly lead to a problem with moisture. But that's a separate report. Termite or structural people don't look for that. But but if you let a leak go too bad, it could create a really bad problem. So
and I think some of the bigger price tags on some of the reports that I've seen from your company is typically associated with the bathtub or things leaking in under the subfloor because you're essentially looking at ripping out a lot of stuff.
If you have to go in and take out the bathtub or a shower on the floor and do a bunch of reframing and joists and the main parts of the structure, it gets very expensive because it takes quite a while to put it back together. I mean, sometimes it can take 3 days to a week to get it replaced and stuff. So depending on how much damage there is. So.
Yeah, and I think along those lines too, it's a lot of people are always. I think people that are new to the real estate, buyers or sellers that are new or haven't sold real estate or bought real estate in a long time, I think when they hear a termite guy or termite company, they get a little freaked out, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's pretty normal to have some sort of issue, on your property or what can you say to that? I mean,
well, not necessarily is always an issue, but there's also things it can lead to. For example, a lot of times people take and they build a planter on the side of the house, but it has wood, wooden siding or something like that. Well, that dirt gets up against that wood and it creates dry rot or it can be an access for termites. So it may not have caused a problem yet, but a year or 2 or 5 down the road, who knows? So
yeah. And I think, it's just being able to talk to them about, so if you're working with a realtor, you're working with the termite company, make sure you're asking questions and make sure you get the explanations you want from a guy like Tim or myself. That way you're not freaking out, right?
Exactly.
Before or after, and
and the thing is too, and when I leave, a lot of times when my guys do the same thing, a lot of times people think of a question afterwards.
Right.
So, calling later, and even though it may sound stupid to you, it's not, because if you don't understand it, then I can't service the account and, keep the people happy. So that's why.
Well, if you're just listening in, we're on AM 1220 KDOW. This is RE360 Radio. Your host, Mike D'Ambrosio. I'm talking with Tim Denner from Taps Termite. We're live in studio. It's Termite Day, so if you got questions or want to ask a question to Tim or myself about anything termite or pest related, now's the day to do it. I'm sure a lot of you are curious about what's going on with your home or something maybe you're looking to buy or sell. So it's an important part of the process if you're buying or selling real estate. It really is. So along that note, what type of activity do you typically see, or what type of things can a homeowner or a home buyer look for to maybe think, hey, I might have an issue here, or I should get this checked out?
Well, one thing, it's like anything else. If you see something coming out of the wall or coming up through the floor that wasn't there the day before, then there could be an issue. Right. You see, looks like one type of termite, they're called drywood termite. They have droppings, and it looks kind of like salt and pepper or sand. The colors can vary.
Right.
So having that coming out of the wall is an indication. There's also, if you see some mud tubing, looks like dirt on the wall, that's an indication of another type of termite called subterranean. There's other issues also.
Right.
But if your floor's real spongy or all of a sudden your linoleum is turning colors, that means you probably have some kind of a leak. So you want somebody to check it out.
Right. Well, let's talk about subterranean, because I think a lot of people might not be as familiar with those. Usually you see a big tent on someone's house and they're getting fumigated for termites. But let's talk about subterranean termites. There's a different treatment that goes into that and that type of thing. So
that's actually a good one. Yeah, because subterranean actually come from the ground and attack the wood. And the way we do to prevent them and or stop them is we treat the soil, like for example, underneath a step or a walkway. The other type of termite that you see the tent for will kill those termites if they're in the wood, but once that tent and the gas has been removed, then the subterranean go right back into the wood. So a lot of times, if people don't read the report and understand it,
right,
they think, they see termites, they think it's going to kill everything, and it's not the case. One treatment won't kill the others. So.
Right. So what you're saying is there's a dip. So when you do the tenting, then it doesn't really affect anything that's going on in the soil.
Exactly.
Essentially. So what do you do for the soil?
For example, let's say they're coming out of the ground underneath the house that has a crawl space, and what a crawl space is underneath a wooden floor, and then there's also a slab floor, which is a concrete floor house.
Yeah.
But underneath the wooden floor, we would treat, if there's any debris down there that's infested with termites, which is a food source, we would remove it, then treat the soil and or any other areas that need to be treated for subterranean.
Right.
Sometimes we may recommend to, drill through a porch because there's some subterranean in that area also. So.
Right. So one of the things you might recommend someone if they're looking, is to go maybe check on your crawl space and see if you have a bunch of pieces of wood under there, or things that would be attractive to a termite, like maybe a cheeseburger would be to us, right?
Exactly. Speaking of which, I had a really good cheeseburger today.
There you go.
How'd you know?
I don't know.
The cheese in my beard?
We can, yeah, exactly. We can read minds. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing a home. What type of clearances might be necessary, and we're kind of coming up against it, but maybe start, and we'll get back to it on the other side of the break, but what type of clearances are they looking for, or what's involved with that?
Okay, well, we don't actually call them clearances. They're really called a certification, meaning that the house has been certified as free and clear of termites and or dry rot,
right,
and or whatever caused it, to be like that. So that would be normal in a real estate transaction, and certain refinances, for example, VA and FHA sometimes, depends on the lender. So
okay.
It's one of those things that you need to check with either your real estate agent and or your lender, because they're going to tell you exactly what they do need. And I've been in the business forever, so I generally know, but a lot of times you tell people and they don't always want to believe it. So you really need to hear it from the horse's mouth. So.
Right. So when you say like with a clearance,
certification.
Yeah, I'm not even listening. No.
That's okay.
With the certification, you want to get that done obviously before the close of escrow. If it's called upon by the buyer, the seller, or the lender. The lender most importantly, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get more into that on the other side of the break. But if you're just tuning in, this is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio. We're live in studio today with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. It's Termite Day, so if you have any questions, comments, or want to know more about termites and pest-related issues, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. This is Mike D'Ambrosio. We'll catch you on the other side of the break on KDOW 1220.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're talking live in studio today with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. It's Termite Day, so we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call if you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. Do you own a home? Have you seen any evidence of termites? Have you ever heard of the term Section 1 or Section 2, et cetera, et cetera? Now's the day to get your answers. And it looks like we do have a caller. Sam from Fremont is on the line. Sam, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for the call. How can we help you?
First of all, thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I have a two-part of the question.
Okay.
Part one is I'm in a process to buy a property, and the seller put the property is as is.
Okay.
However, termite inspector came up with Section 1 work total is $12,000, approximately $12,000.
Right.
So my question number one is, the seller keep telling, oh yeah, that's what we put as is. So that's number one. What I'm going to do for that. Number two is, I am getting a loan from the bank.
Right.
Now I heard the bank can request for this certification. So what if the bank said, oh, you need to do the Section 1 work, but the seller is not negotiating to do that, and we really want to buy that property.
Right. Well,
so now what are my options and how I'm going to take care of this situation?
Right. Well, that sounds like a good sized, good amount for a Section 1. I think you should probably call TAPS Termite 259-5900. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But no, let me let Tim kind of talk to about the Section 1, and then I'll get into more of the real estate side of it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Sam. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Tim?
Very good, thank you. Congratulations on buying a house. Smart investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. On something like that, what we can do is give you what we call a competitive bid. In other words, we would go out and try to do it, for less money for one, so hopefully get the price in. If the seller's selling it as is and he's adamant, then obviously you're going to have to pay for those repairs if your lender requires they want a certification. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can also possibly pursue it. You might be able to get the lender to wait a little while before. In other words, they'll let you get all the work done, let's say in 60 days or something like that.
Right.
So you would hold, let's just use that $12,000 as the number because it's easier. So you would hold that $12,000 back for 60 days. For example, if we did the work, we would do the repairs, we would send the bill in, then we would give you the certification saying all the work has been done and to your lender, and then they would release the money to us, and if there's any money left, they would release it back to you. That's one way. Or if they want it, before the close of escrow, let's say in 30 or 45 days, depending on when you're closing escrow, then you would have to have those repairs done ahead of time. Now, obviously, there's always a chance there could be more repairs than that 12,000. So you really have to read that report and make sure you understand it, and or work with somebody that understands. A lot of times we'll write on the report under further inspection there may be damage possibly running into a wall, or like Mike was saying earlier, if you were listening earlier, about damage extending under a tub when we actually make the repairs. So it could theoretically cost more money too. So let's say there is some further inspection involved, that you really want to make sure you know how much those are going to cost you, because that $12,000 job could go possibly more. So just want to make sure you protect your investment on that part too. So
yeah, and I would say too, with on the real estate side, when someone says they're selling the property as is, that means they're not going to do any of the repairs or anything like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean they can't credit you for some of the repairs done. I mean, that's always an option to ask for that. The other thing on the contract side is, most of the time when you see a lender asking for the repairs to be done is because the termite report was included in the contract. So take it for what it is. I'm not going to really say anything more than that, but that's basically how it goes with when the termite report is included with all the paperwork and whatnot. So
okay.
So if you want more information, stick around after the call, and you can give Kevin your information, and we'd be happy to get in touch with you.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, Sam. Thanks for calling.
thank you, Sam. Have a good day.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because we run into that all the time, and I think the scariest part about doing a lot of termite work during escrow is the fact that a lot of other things can come up, a lot of other unforeseen issues that you can't really see with the naked eye that could come up, and then where does it go from there, right?
Sure. I mean, you could be working on the shower, and all of a sudden there's some major plumbing issues too, so you have to change plumbing, the actual plumbing pipes themselves, and
right.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, a house, depending how it's been taken care of and whatever can happen, it can get a lot worse. So.
Right, definitely. Well, stick with us. We're going to get to a lot more on the other side of the break. If you have any questions for Tim, call us at 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. You're listening to RE360 Radio on AM KDOW.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're talking with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. It is Termite Week. It's Trends Week in my monthly four-week series. And so this week we're talking about termites. I'm sure a lot of you listening might, own property. Maybe you're thinking about selling your property sometimes this year. Maybe you've seen evidence of termites in your home. If you have any questions for Tim, and I think I forgot to say this at the end of the break, so Kevin was yelling at me on the commercial break. No, he wasn't yelling at me, but it's 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions for Tim, he's very knowledgeable. He's been in the business for over 40 years. It's a long time, Tim.
Yeah, I know I'm old.
I'm not going to confirm or deny that. All right, so let's go to... let's talk a little bit about, I'm sure a lot of people listening have heard the term Section 1 or Section 2. If you're out there and you heard Section 1 or Section 2, listen up, because Tim's going to explain what goes in, what is Section 1, what is Section 2, why are they different, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay, when we're going to use that, just say normal real estate transaction report.
There's nothing normal in
exactly. I was being facetious. But a lot of times if you're buying or selling, you hear the term Section 1 and Section 2, but it's actually Section 1, Section 2, and also further inspection.
Right.
So what Section 1 is, anything that's infested, infected, or damaged. What infested is, it has termites or anything like that. Infected would be fungus, dry rot. And damage would be damaged wood and or what caused that. So in other words, let's say a bathroom floor around the toilet, a lot of you have seen that maybe, that it gets discolored. Mm-hmm. That would be water damage. There's usually fungus underneath, so that would be a Section 1, meaning in a normal real estate transaction, if the lender wanted a certification, they would want that bathroom floor fixed.
Right.
Now, Section 2 would be that same bathroom, but the toilet just started leaking. There's a little bit of water around it, but there's no fungus. But if it keeps leaking, it's going to damage the floor, obviously.
Right.
So that one we would recommend to reset the toilet.
Okay.
And then, so Section 2 is anything that can lead to infestation, infection, or damage. In other words, anything that can cause it. Now, further inspection would be, let's say we see some stains on a wall, right, and we suspect there may be some damage or an infestation there. We would call to open that wall up. So those are your three basic differences of that.
And does further inspection also, if you brought in like a different type of contractor or someone that specializes maybe in roofing, or let's say you saw some stains in the attic or whatnot, mm-hmm, would you call out for a roofer or something of that sort?
We'd note there were water stains in the attic, and normally that would be a Section 2 item. But where further inspection might be is maybe there's stains in the attic, but let's say in the ceiling below, in the bedroom, let's say, for example, there's a lot of water stains and the sheetrock might be damaged a little bit.
Right.
So we might call to open that up to make sure there's no fungus or any fungus damage, dry rot in that area.
Right. Okay. And what would you say? I mean, I know this is probably a pretty difficult question to answer, so I'm already giving you an easy one. But what would you say is usually the more expensive sections? What's usually more expensive or is more damage causing?
Well, you mean what caused Section 1, you mean, as far as that goes?
Like, for example, is Section 1 more expensive typically than Section 2?
Oh, yeah, well, yes and no. It depends on, because you may have a lot of Section 2 items. For example, sometimes newer construction has, let's say the house is brand new and the people, believe it or not, it's still a good idea to get an inspection even on a new house, right, because it can have termites and or plumbing leaks or whatever,
right,
because for some reason people figure it's a new house, the lumber's not infested with termites. Well, there's no magic dome over a lumber yard. If anything, it's like the ultimate smorgasbord. So you may have a lot of Section 2 items and no Section 1.
Okay.
So it can vary either way.
Okay.
An older home generally, sometimes if it, there's never been inspected and it has some problems, the Section 1 repairs, like for example, the gentleman for Fremont, that job was $12,000. Now I don't know what was there, but I guarantee there was probably not $12,000 worth of Section 2.
So. Right. $12,000 ain't a cup of coffee either. So stick with us. If you're completely freaked out about what your condition your house is in, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220. 1-800-516-1220. We'd love to hear from you. I'm talking with Tim Denner from TAPS. We're RE360 Radio, AM 1220.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We were talking live in studio with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite today. We're having a great time in studio, telling jokes, and I know this is kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people that own homes because you might be worried about what issues you have going on. So if you do have any questions about that, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. Tim's going to give his information at the end of the show too. So if you're bashful and you want to wait until then, give him a call and stick around for his info. Let's go back into what we were talking a little bit about cost before the break, but what is typically the average cost of treatments, and or repairs?
Excuse me. Probably, truthfully, I didn't really look back at last year's yet to see what our average jobs, because we had some really big jobs too. Mm-hmm. But usually, really, they're probably $1,200 to maybe $1,800, a couple thousand. There's a misconception about fumigations being extremely expensive. Right. Generally, cost rule of thumbs, about $1 to $1.50 a square foot of the home. That includes a garage and patios and all that. So it's really not. 1,500 square foot house is usually right around $1,500. So. Yeah. Things like that. You
guys have great fumigators too. I mean, I used Tim and his company in my own house. So, and the guys you use are really good. They were quick. It was a good price, and then we were done after that. So, yeah. And
then the subterranean treatments that can vary a little bit, but they can run anywhere from $500-$600 up to several thousand if we had to treat, say, the whole home on a 16 to 2,000 square foot house. So, but that isn't on every job, and generally we try to tailor it to what the people are doing. If it's a homeowner, we try to make sure to find out what their intentions are. You're going to be selling the home soon, right? Things like that. So we can kind of tailor the repairs. It's what I've called it for years. I call it building a railroad. If I tell you can wait a year, then I know in a year you're going to call me to do repairs. Right. Then my phone's ringing all year long, and it's been a really good business model for me, and it works out really well. So
definitely,
choo-choo.
There you go. Do we have a sound clip on that, Kevin? All right. It looks like we got another caller from Marin. We got Howard on the line. I wanted to know about orange oil. Howard, are you there?
I'm here.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for taking my call. I have a question concerning your guest's opinion of the effectiveness of orange oil.
Okay.
Well, you opened a firestorm on that nice, one. Yeah. Orange oil actually will kill termites. So will any other oil, including olive oil, WD-40, and stuff like that.
You said will.
Yeah, right. Will kill termites. Even motor oil, anything that gets on the termite. The problem with a lot of the oils like that it doesn't leave any residual. The orange oil doesn't last for long. So if you do use orange oil to really get an effective kill, you got to use it more often. We have it. We don't use it very often because it gets very expensive because of the manpower to actually do the treatment. And a lot of times, a lot of guys will recommend orange oil in conjunction with other chemicals that we use readily. So we don't use orange oil a lot. It's a case by case. What I tell people is, anybody you deal with, make sure that you've got a good guarantee and you stay on top of it. But, I have a standing joke that I've used for years, and it's like, really, though, how many people really filled out a warranty card for their toaster? So if you have, if you have alternative treatment, whether it be a local treatment, whatever it is, make sure you have that person come back and recheck it. Yeah, definitely. Or have a different company recheck it to make sure that it was effective. But the orange oil will kill the termites. The problem is it just doesn't leave a residual. UC Berkeley did a study here, it's been about 2 years ago, Dr. Lewis, on that and tested all the different pesticides. So I think it's still possible even on Berkeley's website. But if not, you can always call us and I can send you a link on it or copies of it and stuff like that. But, like I said, it will kill termites. But if you do use any of the alternatives, even just a standard localized treatment that many of us use, you still want to stay on top of it because they can show up anywhere else. Because when you do a spot treatment, we're only treating that one spot we saw the termites, but they could be somewhere else a year from now or whatever. So,
a follow-up question. Thank you. With the winged termites that leave the salt and pepper or feces behind, how effective is a localized treatment? Do they tend to stay in one part of the house or one wall as opposed to just cover the whole house in a short time?
Well, just like anything else, one thing you want to do is do a full inspection on the home, see how many places may or may not be infested. Then you have to, rely on the inspector with his expertise if he feels it can be treated locally. I do a lot of localized treatments, especially in a lot of condominium complexes, apartments, and things like that. I mean, being in the business 40 years, I grew up in this business, so I know a lot of people. So I get a lot of calls for that type of thing. So yes, local treat can be effective, but the other thing too is it's not a one-shot thing. You need to stay on top of it. But it also depends if you're going to sell your property within a year or two or three or four. That's why when we work with the homeowner, we like to team up and find out what they're doing and explain all their options and stuff like that. Because I want to give the people the best rate of return on their investment. I mean, if you're going to spend a couple $1,000s, but it's really not going to do you any good, then there's no reason to spend the money. And even sometimes I tell people, okay, I realize money's tight right now, but a local treatment really isn't an option. But you can wait maybe a year or two, save up some more money, then fumigate. But it's a case by case at that point. So, but yes, and then the wings you see, all termites do have wings. And there's a difference. The subterraneans also fly out of the ground, and the drywoods fly out of, for example, out of the wood, just to keep it simple. But the key is if you see the little pellets, which is their fecal material, you got to know where they're coming out of. But most likely they could be in other areas. So that's why you want to do that full inspection.
Okay, well, thank you very much. One last loaded question.
What
percentage of exterminators would you consider to be less than honest?
Well, actually, I've been involved with social media for a long time, so I'm a believer in looking at all the reviews of Yelp and all the different things, Angie's List, all those things, and they are a tool. It's just like anything else. I mean, you can't go totally by what all the people write, but I've been working out of the area quite a bit because we have really good reviews, and I've had people, basically pay us a little bit extra money to go up and service their property.
Right.
So it's like anything else. You check with the Better Business Bureau. I've been with them forever. All those things. It's like, if you can't find anything on the person and nobody has anything good to say, then maybe you might want to move on to the next person. But as an industry, no, there's a lot of honesty there. So
yeah, definitely. Howard, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. Those are some great questions.
Thank you, Howard. Have a good day.
You as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's 40 years of experience coming at you. We're with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. If you're completely freaked out about your house, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220. Great discussion today on RE360 Radio on KDOW. We'll be right with you right after the break.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW, AM 1220. We're live in studio with Tim Denner from TAPS Termite. We're just about done for the day. So if you have any questions, stick around and listen for Tim's information. He'd be happy to help you out. But we've been talking off air a little bit about some funny stories that Tim has. So why don't you tell us one of the funnier things that's happened to you out in the field over 40 years?
There's many and many. My book will come out one of these days, hopefully. But many years ago, I was out doing an inspection. I was up in the attic space, and I went to come out, and I didn't actually look down. I dropped my legs down, and my ladder wasn't there. And I looked down, and I was like, so previous to this, I hear real estate tour. We need to move your ladder. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, somebody moved my ladder and didn't put it back. So,
do you have enemies, or what's going on over there?
I guess that, or sometimes people forget. So I had to jump out of the attic space. So I wasn't an overly happy camper that day.
I can only imagine that.
And guess what? Nobody left cards.
I bet they didn't. Well, now I know what to do if you upset me.
Yeah.
So. No, it was a great discussion today, and I know a lot of the things that we talked about might be concerning for some people, but it's always good, just like anything, to have preventative maintenance. Make sure your house isn't completely falling apart. I mean, I'm sure it's not, but it's always good to get it checked out. Especially, I always recommend to sellers to get inspections done up front. It's always good to have those when you put it on the market, because number one, you cover your own butt, with getting the inspections, letting people know what's going on with the property. And it's just more helpful to buyers. And then you also avoid anything down the road when you're in contract to have that information readily available for them. So anyways, do you want to give out some of your information and how people can contact TAPS?
Best way actually to contact the office is 408-259-5900. Again, 408-259-5900. That's TAPS Termite. Been in business since 1969.
And they can find you. You're on all the social media.
You can tapstermite.com. You can go onto our website, and actually that website has a lot of information on there also. Like I said, you can also check on Angie's and all the other social sites for referrals and things like that. So
good. Yeah, and just my own little plug too. I obviously do real estate. That's my job. I'm not just a radio host. So I use Tim and his company on all my deals. They're a great company. I use them for my own house. I bought 2 years ago. We did, what did we do? Fumigation. We did subterranean. And you guys even came back out a year later and just checked on everything for free to make sure it was all good.
That is one of the things that we do that I know a lot of companies don't always do, but we send out a follow-up letter.
Yeah.
I went out to one today. We fumigated 2 years ago, and turned out the man had some subterranean termites. The window guy told him about it, but he didn't know to call us. So now he knows he has some termites, and we'll be able to take care of that for him. So that's why we do the follow-ups, because we want to work in partnership with people on this stuff. So.
Definitely. That's a great thing. All right, so the question of the week, as some of you know, I do this every week, and you have the opportunity to win a gift certificate to one of our sponsors, Frankie, Johnny, Luigi's, and Giorgio's Italian Food and Pizzeria. You get a free pizza there, and you also get to try out all their other delicious Italian food. So the question of the day in regards to termites is, how many sections are there in a termite report? That's how many sections are there in a termite report. If you're listening and paying attention, which I hope you were, give me a call at 408-357-6177 or email me, Mike at RE360radio.com. That's Mike at RE360radio.com. I'll enter you in the drawing, and you'll have a chance to win that gift certificate. So, Tim, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Well, you've been listening to RE360 Radio on AM 1220 KDOW. We come to you Monday through Friday. We love having our guests on, and have a great week, everybody. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with RE360 signing out.
You've been listening to Real Estate 360 on AM 1220 KDOW. For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. AM 1220 KDOW.